I was wondering if we should have like music playing in the background. Like
I
I'm
know.
so bad at that's like that's too much, right? Like, or should we have like the
No.
yeah? Okay,
That's what I'm saying. We need like an intro. We put like our theme in, in like a 2 minute countdown. That's what we need.
that's right. That's right. Let me shoot. We do need that. You know what? I'm gonna count down. Maybe I can get someone on. I can't do the motion graphics and stuff. I probably need
Hmm.
to get someone on. What do you call it? Uh, Fiverr or something to help me with that.
Oh yeah.
So,
Hey Mal,
hey Mal,
don't mind us just talking business at the start of this live.
I'm really bad about that. Like, I'm really bad about just like continuing to talk and to
Hmm.
iterate when like I would probably be the worst if I was a politician with like the hot mic. I would have lots of hot mic moments because I don't know when to shut up. Keep going.
Well, Mal, we're glad that you made it. I thought you couldn't come. I'm glad that you're here.
I'm sure he got your special announcement too, so your
Hmm.
special message. So
Hey
when you were
Mark.
oh, is that Mark is here too? Hey Mark.
Hmm.
When you so Ella's been working on the first NPCs expansion pack, and so I'm just curious, like, was that a hard thing for you, or was it like you were already starting to generate these as you were working on the RPG?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I part of our Patreon, our Flux Fantasy tier is to add you get NPCs basically for free, as part of that every month. And it's a big task to do a bunch every month, but um, I wanted to do something really special that felt like part of the game. At first, I thought I'll just put some random NPCs there, and that'll be fun. But I've actually started to add like stories and stuff that's like a part of like the world, and so we've actually started to kind of canonize these NPCs just a little bit, so they're actually like more in world than you would originally think. Um, so I was planning on doing a bunch of NPCs anyway, but I'm happy that they're becoming sort of more story and narrative based. So it was difficult, because you have to think about sort of like you have to think about everything, where they come from, what are their strengths, if they are fighters, what are their how do they fight. Some of them don't fight, some of them do. So you want to put a good mix in there too. You want good diversity. You don't want them all to feel the same. You get NPCs after NPCs and they all feel this similar. So
Yeah, and I think there's always this like propensity to immediately create super cool characters just by the fact that they're ink artists or escape. I mean, excuse me, ink escape artists. Sorry, I went to bed at like 2:30 last night, so my brain is not going all together. Uh, ink fighters and escape artists, and like the top, like the ones that everyone wants to be. But sometimes creating um, creating characters that are um, complex or interesting because of their being common or not special, so to speak, right? Like the fact that they have like real world problems that they deal with and they have to navigate this particular world is fun. So
yeah, exactly. Some of the characters, like I said, some of them are fighters, some of them are ink fighters, but there's this one, like in the first pack, there's I won't spoil too much because you need to join the Patreon to see them, but there's a character who's sort of like you know, he's like a casino owner and he doesn't have any, he's not an ink fighter, he's not an escape artist, but he's still interesting. He still has motivations and things that he can do and wants to do. Um, so yeah, exactly. You've hit it on the head.
it's funny because Ella has this way of affecting canon too in her development. She's like working on stuff and then she's like, "Hey, what about this? Like I've been thinking about this. Like I was about to publish um, the map yesterday, the revised map, and she said something that kind of completely like turned upside down something I was thinking, but it was such a cool idea. And I love things like that. So Ella has her way of like affecting canon, by dropping cool stuff in there. So Um,
Whoops.
so yeah. And hey, thank you guys for you guys who've been sharing these videos and making tweets and posts about what we're doing. We really appreciate it because it makes a big difference when you do that. Like we've had several new people join the Discord and everything, which was awesome. So we appreciate you guys doing that. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Entity. Sorry, we were talking and I didn't even. Hey, DJ. Sorry, I didn't even get to say hi to you guys. We were talking away and, you know, and I'm sorry for my camera. It's really like, it's really sensitive. So I have to like not move or it loses its mind. I will fix this. Like I'm slowly fixing my problems as we
Mm.
go forward. This has been a character arc for me. So we'll get through that. So I'm
Your
sorry.
arc, which we were talking about yesterday, your arc is like your low point is the camera. You
Exactly.
fall
Exactly.
into despair.
Exactly. Hi, Zora. It's good to see everyone here. We were just waiting a couple seconds before we start getting into like the announcements and stuff, just to let some folks come in. So we're just kind of chit chatting and talking about stuff. We've got so much exciting stuff happening this month, and um, we are like our heads are spinning because there's so much going on, and between the RPG and some other stuff that's happening behind the scenes that I have to always be careful because I'm about to accidentally spill the beans about things that I have to catch myself in talking to you guys. So
Soon, soon.
soon, very soon. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And we've had some really cool people come into the community recently who we're so happy that have become really involved. Entity is one of them. Love
Hmm.
having you in here with us. Just some really cool folks. So we're excited to add to it. So do you want to shall we move into what we're talking, what the big news for announcements are for the RPG?
Yeah, let's do it. So, as you guys know, we've been pushing for a really long time. I mean, it's on all of our Flux Fantasy posters and all this stuff that the beta is coming June, and well, it's the last day of May, and so here we are, ready for June, and we're excited to announce that we are going into beta testing officially. Within the next 2 weeks, we've reached out to some people that we'd like to do some groundwork testing with, and we're really excited. And we had so many. We actually had some new people come in that we were surprised about, that who are also joining us in the beta testing, and um we yeah, it's happening. So within the next 2 weeks we are starting to move into that phase, which is the testing phase. So we've got kind of the mechanics done, and we actually have sort of a tutorial game also done. If you were not selected for this initial beta, there's more testing that's coming. So we want you to continue to follow us on this journey and like be with us. There's going to be maybe some one player games that you can just play sort of on your own. There's going to be all kinds of stuff with the beta releasing. In fact, we're hoping to, once the testing is done, to actually release the beta, hopefully by the end of this next month. Like actually get it out there where you can play it, and you can purchase it, and you can get it, and hopefully by then the OC portal and all of that kind of stuff will be done as well. So it really helps us when we have a lot of people like you guys who are so excited about the beta, and you're so excited about all this stuff. More is coming. We're going to start doing kind of closed behind the scenes beta testing so that we can work out all of the issues with it. And then when you guys next see it, it will have, you'll basically get the guidebook and a little tutorial game. And that's a huge launch. And then after that, the mechanics will basically be written, and we'll be moving on to making stories and expansions and fully releasing the game. So the full like actual book with all the beautiful art and all of the cover and all of that kind of stuff will be releasing, hopefully, Chris, August, end of
August,
August.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of the timeline of events, and we just wanted to let you guys know that sometimes, especially with the small startup, it can feel like things are just like they'll announce something like, oh, we're going to do this by June, and then it never comes. Well, we're here, we're in June, and we're doing it. We've actually hit our goal of getting the beta test started and going and ready to for people to actually start playing within the next 2 weeks, and then soon after everybody else will get to see it and in all of its glory. And we're so excited. It's a huge milestone for us to get these mechanics into a place where they're playable.
Yeah, and she mentioned something too that I kind of briefly talked about in a previous live stream. I can't remember which one, but the OC portal. And the OC portal, which is coming soon, is going to allow you to create character sheets online and store them. So you can play with, if you're having a game and you want to play with your laptop open, and you can have it there, uh, and you can store all your different characters. And then we're going to have a character journal for each one, so you can you can write down the adventures of your characters and store information about them in your own OC portal. So that's being built too, and so that's all this stuff is finally coming out. It feels like it feels. What's so funny is that it feels like I feel like I have been pregnant with this forever. Okay, so it's like, all right, so I feel like the baby's finally starting to like peek out, and it's
Yeah,
finally starting to do, and this has been a long gestation
you
period.
heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, people. Our water has broken.
Our water has broken. Yeah. My water
Oh
has broken, but I'm handling it very classy. I'm not like freaking
yeah,
out.
no.
Yes, I made a mess everywhere, but it's gonna be good.
Oh
So
no, this was the wrong way to. Oh
but
man.
we're so really excited to have you guys support us, and all like some many of you have been with me forever, have been waiting for this, and it's finally here, and we're finally getting to this. And um and the OC portal is huge. And I wanted to mention too that for us, what's important with Flux Fantasy is that it does a couple of things, and I just kind of want to stress these really quick before we go on. Is that I always talk about um, this world we're in of like constant reboots and toxic fandoms, and there's so much toxicity and so much. Uh, there's a need for new things. That's what we are bringing with Flux Destiny and Flux Fantasy. And we have such an amazing community that was built organically as I was putting all this together. And we have such a amazing group of people. And you know what?
Mhm.
The common thing I get all the time, who gets written to me, a DM to me, or to Ella, is how friendly our community is, right? And how awesome it is. And when people go into our server, how they love being greeted. And you know, creating that community, like creating something that you're proud of being part of, like how people used to be super proud of being a Star Wars fan, for example. I want that for our fans, right? Is that you are a proud Flux Destiny fan, and that you are part of the community, and that you were part of making it come to
Mm.
life. And so the Flux Fantasy RPG allows you to actually live in this world. And I wanted to create a world where you guys could express your creativity and give you the foundation to write your own characters, to write your own stories. And that's just part of it, right? Like that's almost like a side effect, because the other part is the community, like making friends as part of this. It's so hard to make friends nowadays with everything going on, that these kind of activities help you make friends. And I always talk about the great relationships that have been made here in this community, and I want to continue to hear that, and I want to hear about one day the first Flux Destiny marriage, who met here and got married.
And
So
the real first Flux Destiny baby, not the Flux
yeah,
RPG.
yeah, exactly. Although I do, we did have the first roommates that were made through Flux Destiny. That did happen. That did happen.
Oh,
So
I
that was
love
cool
that.
too. So, but
I
I'm
love
super,
that.
and we just appreciate all the love you guys have for us. So, anyways, that was my little monologue that I wanted to give real quick about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're just so excited. Like, we honestly can't wait. Like, it would be really easy for us to like just be behind closed doors and do testing behind the scenes with our little group, but we honestly can't wait to tell you guys about it. And so we thank you so much for your continued support. And like when we finally release the beta, like you guys going to pre-order it and you guys doing all these pre-sales and stuff like that, it helps us so much because it gives us the support we need to keep going. Your excitement makes us excited, and we are honestly just so proud of this, and we can't wait to get out the door. And so even sometimes we're like rushing it, and we're like going as fast as we can. And so that's why we need you guys, to help us with the beta and to give us your feedback. And we want all of that. Like when you guys make character sheets and you tell me things that you're thinking of, it changes the way that I make the RPG. I go, oh yeah, I should do that, or I should rethink this, or I should redo. There was touches, we did touch ups on the character sheet itself, because you guys made so many cool characters, and there was a hole here or a patch here, and you guys doing that and continue to send us stuff on Flux Fantasy and following our socials means that it gets out to more people, and we've found some really cool people. I mean, we just have our first interview because of you guys, because you guys have been sharing us and liking us and all that kind of stuff. We get to go off and do these cool things for Flux and for Destiny.
And and on that note, this lady here, or here, sorry, I point this way. This lady here has been pushing me like crazy. Okay, that's what I want. She's like pushing me to the max, right? Like she's the force behind all this, and she's the one pushing, and it's been really a lot, and it's awesome because we are she's the doctor in the delivery room telling me push,
We
push,
can't keep
push,
doing this.
push. We're doing this
It's
push.
true. Oh
Anyway,
no.
so let's talk about so the pre-order. So what's going to happen this month is that there's going to be a pre-order period that's going to happen. If you are already in our Patreon $10 tier, you're already going to get the book and everything. So
Hmm.
the rule book and everything. You're in a good place. In the if you're not in the $10 Patreon, you should absolutely go there because you get all sorts of amazing benefits that come from being part of that. Um, you not only get the core rule book ahead of time, but you also get access to all these special events that we do. And
Hmm.
let me just kind of tell you about some of the stuff that we have if you're in the $10 tier. So in the Great Escape Artist Society, which most of our members are in, actually, in the top this 10 tier, you get the rule book free, and you get every time it's updated, you get it free, right? So it's not just a one time. So as the book gets updated, like we add new rules, when the next Flux Destiny book comes out, there will be Flux Fantasy 2, and it's going to add more characters and factions and mechanics. Every time that comes through, because you're subscribed, you'll get that.
Hmm.
You'll get monthly RPG expansion packs with new NPC characters who will come in. You can buy those separately if you're not subscribed, but you'll get that as part of your subscription. You will your OCs, your Flex OCs will be spotlighted, right? So we're going to spotlight your OCs on our official social channels, and then you also get to leave your name in our legendary escape artist role book. So if you go to fluxdestiny.com, there's actually a page there where you can see all our supporters who are part of it. You're permanently on there on the on in the roll call for that. And of course, you get access to the exclusive live streams and things like that. So absolutely, please consider that. We'll have some more pre-order information coming soon on that.
Yeah, and the guidebook in particular is actually not just the guidebook. It's the guidebook and how to create a character, but also it comes with a tutorial game. It's a full-fledged game that you can play and test your characters with. So it's like its own little story, which it is a huge deal for what we're putting into the guidebook, because it's like its own little RPG game that you can just go and play by yourself, or like with your friends, but it's already in the guidebook. You don't have to purchase another game or anything.
Absolutely, and be sure you'll see down there my little lower third that always points to going to fluxfantasy.com. Many of you are already on there, but share it with your friends. Tell them to go sign up for those updates, because when they do, they get the free character sheets, they get the character creation guide. All that's free. There's no catch. You just join for the updates and you get all that. I think this is a good time to start talking about the game itself and how we
Yeah.
came to the mechanics and everything. So this actually started. I've always had this idea in the back of my head for some time, but it started off like wanting to do wanting to do like a video game version. I was going to do a mobile game, and I started talking with my patrons about doing this mobile Flux Destiny game where it was like there was going to be a character creator, and then there was going to be like this battle mode, right? And it was kind of modest idea for this game. And I went to this D&D session in February, and it was so much fun. I had not done that in so long, and I had not been to one in so long, that when I went there and saw how much fun people were having, I go, what am I doing? This needs to be an RPG, like a tabletop RPG. I said, this is more representative of what Flux Destiny is about. And it doesn't mean one day we won't have a video game, but this felt more natural. And so I scrambled to start putting the rules together. Like I spent from June to, so you've been with me since what? Since April, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So from February to about April. So I spent 3 months writing the initial rules and trying to design an RPG draft based on the world of Flux Destiny, with a payback system, with a system to create Flux Destinies, with all this stuff. Then I met Ella and I brought her on, and she has this passion and so much experience in RPGs, not only playing them, but being part of formal creation of RPGs, that I turned it all over to her, and I was like, okay, here's my vision. Here's what I'm trying to do. Now help me make this better and help me like plus this a lot. And she did a fantastic job of it, so much so that she got what I was trying to do with it, and she helped me simplify it and bring it to meet our goals and add so many cool elements. So we could probably talk about some of those.
Yeah. You guys who have sort of been with us for a while, a lot about the payback system, and how karma works, how there's positive and negative karma. And so we wanted to bring all of those elements into the game. One of the things that we're really proud of is how we do our karma system. So one of the things that we do is you have karmistry, whether it's in the form of sigils or whether it's in the form of karma based tech. All of that is karmistry, and karmistry is like what we use in this world. Anything that has karma related to it and you're using it is karmistry. And so going forward, we wanted there to be the consequence of payback and danger, that comes with using karma. Anytime you use karma, there has to be sort of the opposite pull of the universe trying to put things back together. And so we made this really cool sliding scale, which is like as you use your karma pool as a character, your danger and your payback starts to grow and build. And then there, at a certain point, you actually have to face it, and that's something that's sort of an internal. Every character is different. Maybe some characters will never face their payback or danger, and others will face it really quickly and often. And so this is something that is unique to our story, and so we really wanted to focus on it as a central element. And I think that we've done a really good job with it. And continuing with that, we've got other systems as well that we're just so proud of, and we feel like are really unique to our world, like the karma consequences, which means that Chris talks about this all the time, but that there's like positive and negative karma. And we're toying with this idea that we want people to be able to make both good positive karma choices and negative karma choices. That doesn't mean like go around and kill everybody so that you can get negative karma, but it just means that the choices that you make affect how your character is being built. So if you make a bunch of negative choices, well, you're going to get a negative karma bonus. And if you make a lot of positive choices, then you're going to get a positive karma bonus. And so there are sort of advantages, on playing and role playing that we wanted the world to hold really well. And yeah, so and of course, we can't be an RPG without the name of the of the game, which is Flux Destiny. So we've created this complex but really beautiful Flux Destiny system where people can actually build and create together Flux Destinies and travel inside them and sort of unleash their potential, within the game. And in fact, the tutorial game goes into a Flux Destiny, and so how you do that it is really is a cool mechanical system. And then of course, we've got our traits and our flaws, which come into a lot of games nowadays, I feel like. But it's really cool because our traits and flaws system is a lot like, what goes around comes around, where you have this really cool awesome trait, but it comes with a flaw, that might be like something that hinders you within the game. It's not necessarily something that's negative, but is something that can, stop your progress. And that's what the whole game is about. You look at our mechanics and you see that everything has a consequence. Even gaining merits, even gaining money, comes with side effects. So it's not just all one way or another. We really wanted a game that was different in the way that you had to think before you jumped. So there are a lot of games that rely on your instinct, like how fast can you go, how far can you go, and that sort of stuff. Our game relies more on the narrative, in the idea that everything that you do that has a positive effect might also have a negative effect. So you have to be careful both ways. You can't just perform 1,000 good deeds and become the biggest and best hero, ever. There's going to be consequences that come with using that, whether that's payback or danger or whatever. It's there is forces on both sides always pulling our characters, and we really wanted to showcase that and focus on it. And I think we've done a really good job.
I think so too. Tooting our own horn. I feel that way, and I think it's. I'd love. We should tell them a little bit about. They've learned a little bit about this, but just so they have a a feeling of it, is how we've brought the different groups together to share one karma system, because
Yeah.
karmistry itself is an important part of this world, obviously.
Hmm.
It's the foundational magic system of this universe, is the karmistry magic system. But we wanted to create a system where the different groups, whether you're an escape artist, whether you're an ink fighter, whether you're a special agent, whatever the case may be, uh, they all feel special, and they all work from a karma system,
Hmm.
that ties the world together. So, um, you know, tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah. So karma karma is the force. The great machine is the thing that is pulling everybody together, whether it's positively or negatively, and all of those choices, build up. And so karmistry, using karma at all, whether it's like whether you're mining it out of the ground, or you're using it in tech, or you're channeling it through your Taurus, or you're injecting it into your skin through a sigil, that all of that is karmistry. We call it karma because it's a broad term, but using karma, if you are like physically using it and putting it into something, I mean, even creating a Flux Destiny with karma is karmistry, right? That takes karmistry to do. The gearbox is using that karma. Even the gearbox is like using karmistry a little bit. And so we wanted that to be a really big showcase, but we didn't want karmistry to feel escape artist exclusive, because we have so many really cool people in the world. I mean, the ink fighters are my personal favorite. I don't know why I'm like so attached to them, but I love the ink fighters a lot. And they use a form of karmistry as well, and so do the special agents. And our clockbots have Tauruses. That's how they run. It is through electricity, but also through karma. And so all of that is karmistry. Like, clockbots run on karmistry. They channel it in and they use it. And so how we wanted everybody to feel special in that way, and so we wanted it to have a central system in which everybody pulled from something called their karma pool, which is basically like how they are using karmistry, whether that's through their tech or through their sigils. All of it is sort of the same. And what's so beautiful about it is that the way that you create characters, you could create 100 characters, and yet your character sheet will always look the same, right? You're always going to have the big central gear. You're always going to have your advantages. You're always going to have your defense, but you're always going to have the same karma pool. How much karma you can use is sort of dependent on which character you choose. Escape artists normally use more karma than a special agent would. right? And so there's a lot of different advantages from picking one side to the other. Where it really gets into the details of it is we wanted it to be really simple, but at the same time, if you dig even a little bit, you're going to find things that you really like about each character. Like the ink fighters might be a little bit tougher than escape artists. Like they normally have a little bit more health, you know, they're normally able to get off the ground a little bit easier. Sometimes their sigils can be more powerful in like one term boost instead of sustaining. So if you really just need that like one big hit, you know, that's them. Special agents too, you know, they have like karma disruptors, and so they have sort of special attacks. And so each group is fundamentally super different on how they've decided to channel karmistry, but at the end of the day, it's all karmistry. And so we wanted it to all funnel back sort of into one system. And doing that is actually much more difficult than you would think. But I think that we've made it work. And for example, in the future, if we decided that we want different characters, you know, if we want dragons to come into the game for some reason and they use karmistry, we still wanted a way to for them to come in and use the system we've already built.
You know, she one thing that was really amazing about this karma pool system was that when I did my draft of this, I had created these separate systems that addressed everyone differently. Like there was a system for karmistry, there was a system for special agents, ink fighters. They all had their own systems, but she found a way to integrate them together by tying them together through the use of karma. In the world of Flux Destiny, escape artists are the only ones who know how to use karmistry to manipulate karma and to for those powers, but they draw from karma to do that, right? They know how to do that. When you are like an ink fighter or a special agent, the way you use karma is different. You can't manipulate it the same way as an escape artist, but you draw from it. It's different ways that this happens, but they all draw from a karma pool. And so she was able to really make it more streamlined and connect everyone together, which is another major theme of Flux Destiny, which is the interconnectedness of everyone. And so, you know, while she was doing it to improve the efficiency of how the game worked, she unintentionally helped on the theming of the game, which is like interconnecting everyone together. So, anyways, I just thought that was very cool. And we need to talk skill tree because the skill tree
Yeah.
was so. Let me tell you this. So when I did my first version of the game, I had an experience point system in here in the game, and Ella and
I don't like
I was super proud of it. And she goes, "Oh, Chris, oh, Chris, oh," and she's usually super nice to me, so I know when something really hits her like here is when I had that experience point system. She goes, "Oh, Jesus," she's like, "No, no, no." She goes, "That's no," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "What should we do?" And she came up with she suggested this because what I wanted to do, and it was another thing that helped solve some of the problems we had in the initial draft of the game, which is how do you level up in this world, but how can you also be an escape artist, for example, and how can everyone work from the same mechanics to create characters who have these unique powers, but it be something that's not like a technical manual to figure out how this works, or everyone has all these unique rules of how they work. And so she suggested the skill tree system that will be introduced in the post beta of the game, that will be super cool. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so what we did is the problem with the initial experience points was that you could gain experience points pretty much through anything, and you could level up almost too quickly. And so somebody at Wolfgang who was like a level 1 would suddenly become like a level 12 within a couple of battles. And it didn't match the energy that we wanted for the game, which is about learning and about being very strategic about where you put what you want to do. And so the problem was with the experience points was that you could get so much experience you could just be a master at everything, and in our new game that's not possible. So with the skill tree, every time you level up, which happens through our checkpoint system, you only get a certain number of level ups. You only get a certain number of points. And you can put them in the skill tree wherever you want. You could get more health, or you could get more advanced powers, or you could get a better defense, or you could get more movement, or you could level up your karma pool. But to do that, that means that maybe your skill tree in health isn't as good. So if I leveled up my karma pool and I leveled up my powers, well then I've already used my points, right? So I can't also get a health upgrade. So you have to be really strategic about how you pick your characters, because you can't do it all. And that is a huge part of our game, is that people are going to be so different once they start leveling up and they start picking different ways that they want their powers. Maybe one person just wants to be really smart and solve all the riddles of the game, and that's where they put all their points to, because there's going to be some points that you can't get to, right? Like if you wanted to get all of your health upgrades, well, then you're going to have to forfeit some of the other upgrades because you just don't have enough points, right? And so our skill tree sort of falls into a couple of categories. They're called body, personality, karma, and talents. So those are sort of the teasers of the different ways that you're going to be able to level up your skills. And it's really a way that we I don't personally like experience point systems because it relies really heavily on the GM to give out all these points and stuff. And everybody is different. We wanted our game to be a gateway for people, and if we had like set experience points on certain achievements, that might not reflect somebody's skill, right? So we make the game really customizable in the way that instead of having an experience system, we just have a leveling up system. So the GM can level up their players as much as they want. If they're starting with a really experienced group, they can all start on level 5, if they wanted to. But we wanted it to be more customizable in a way that people could go through it differently. And what's really fun about this skill tree is that people are going to have different wants, right? So I could make 2 escape artists that are exactly the same and give them to 2 players, and at the end of the game they'd be completely different because of the way that they've leveled up. And so that's something we're really excited about as well. And it's something that, if you notice on the character sheet, it says coming soon, and so it's a pretty big deal. We're excited about the way that it will work.
And just to add to all that, one last thing, since I think we kind of glossed over the Flux. We did talk about Flux Destinies, but I wanted to
Yeah.
like talk about it a little more in depth. Is that the game has a Flux Destiny system where you can actually spin up Flux Destinies,
Hmm.
and there's mechanics for how do you keep them charged up, and so developing a system for that was unique to our game, and also reflected what happens in the namesake world, was really
Hmm.
important. So I'm really excited for you guys to learn about that as well.
Yeah.
um, so you want to talk about the tutorial game?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't want to say that we're different, as an RPG or whatever, but it's something that we felt really strongly about with our fans. We wanted to provide an instant game that you could play right out of the guidebook. If you've played other RPGs before, you know that normally those kind of games are separate. It's not necessarily like a full fledged game, but it's a good game. It's a like a one shot game where you could play it with your friends, and you could do it 100 times and it'll be different every time because of the way that we've set it up. And the tutorial game is a way that you can sort of go in and test your powers and figure out, it can be like a session 0, where you can kind of figure out how to shop, because there's some bartering systems, and you can figure out, okay, well, I'm actually really good at this talent, but maybe not so good at this other one. Maybe I'm really good at agility, but like I really suck at aura or whatever it is. And so it's just like a quick summary of it, because we're just so excited about it. It takes place at this hall where they're unveiling a huge Flux Destiny, and so there's all these booths set up, kind of like a fair. We call it the Flux Destiny Fair, and there's all these booths set up where you can do like play little mini games and learn how to use your powers. And so that's how the tutorial game is gonna go, and it's gonna be available in all of our guidebooks. So with the guidebook comes this sort of tutorial game which isn't necessarily super heavy narrative focused, but it's a good way to. There is a story, and it will help you learn about your character and learn how to play the game.
And that's important too because Ella and I were talking about how people get into this. We want people to be able to just get into this game and universe as easily as possible. Like you shouldn't feel like it's a chore. You should be super
Mm,
excited. The world is also designed for those who've been Flux Destiny fans for a while. It's very lore deep. It's very deep and on purpose because I'm one of those people who loves different fictional universes. Like when, even if I don't like play certain video games, like if it's a video game based world, like there's certain ones where I'm like, I don't play the game, but I just love all the lore around it, and I will spend
yeah.
forever in the fandom wiki, like going down rabbit holes. And so that's what we wanted to design with this. Um, and you know, there's times where the fans get to impact the lore itself. Like for example, uh, well, we got Mal and Boofy here. I don't know if Boofy's here, but I know Mal is here. Boofy was, I think, the one who came up with Marco's nickname, Marco Roni, which I thought was super cute, and we had adapted into the game, into
Yeah.
the book series. And I think Mal was the one who named Hugo's brothers. What do you call it? TV show that he's part of. So like these little suggestions, like being part of this universe, I love bringing in stuff that the fans want to contribute and be part of to be part of this world. So
Yeah, the
thought that
beta
was
is the perfect place for that because it's like, you go in and maybe once it comes out and you get it and you look through it and you're like, wouldn't it be really cool if we could do this, or wouldn't it be really cool or if we had this kind of character and we go, oh yeah, like that would be really cool, and maybe we're already working on it, and maybe you've been groundbreaking to our game, and so that's why we're putting the beta out. We're being very vulnerable, if I do say so myself, and we're putting out something that's in its beta phase because we want you guys to play it, and we want you guys to tell us what you think, and we need a lot of players. Once the beta, after the initial sort of testing gets out, we need help, and so we're so excited to talk about these mechanics and finally reveal all of them and get your feedback.
yeah. That's the important part about all this is that we want your feed. We want this to be good, and that's why we're kind of taking this in stages. That we're going to do a little internal review first, get some feedback, open it to the beta testing to get
Mm,
feedback. It's a constant. Um, we don't pretend that what's going to come out is going to be like perfect. That's not. It's going to become better and better every time you guys contribute and are speak up and are honest. And there's some things that we want to be a certain way because of the artistic vision of the game, but in the most part, we want it to be something that's fun that you share. In fact, we've had heard some people who have never played tabletop RPGs who this will be their first one,
mhm.
and that makes me really excited because I want people to say Flux Fantasy was my first RPG. You know, I love
Yeah.
that concept. So for you guys who are already contributing to the Patreon and being part of it, um, you know, we just deeply appreciate that because that's what helps us build this. And so, you know, it's just patreon.com/Flux Destiny. Be sure to go check out that $10 tier. That's the one that's built specifically for the RPG. Um, so be sure to do that. The little thing here, fluxfantasy.com. I know I'm like a broken record about it, but the more people we get on the list for updates on it to keep them connected, go, you know, send it to your friends. I'm sure you've got friends who are wanting to get into RPGs. And you know what? A lot of the people who are here on this live who have been with me for a long time were so, were brought in by other friends, you know, who
Yeah.
brought them in. And so you guys are like personally affecting the success of this by sharing it with your friends, sharing it on your social media, and bringing them into this universe and making a bigger family and making giving us the resources to continue to build this out. And we're super excited. The folks on Patreon also get to see, of course, all um, the the cool like behind the scenes stuff that's being developed. Like we are updating Patreon on a very regular basis, and you're seeing
Yeah.
all the stuff from our concept artist. As many of you know, we have a concept artist who joined our little studio, who is helping with the development of the all the look. Like Flux Fantasy has its own look, and so the
Mhm.
art that you see comes from Nix, our artist on that. Um, and you get to see all that. You get to see all the behind the scenes stuff, which is really cool too.
Yeah, and special lives. We've started doing specific lives, even just for the top tier as well. So, each month we have a couple of lives that are just for Patreon, and then we have a couple that are just for the $10 tier. In fact, we had one yesterday, which was really fun. And so they get all of that, fun stuff first, and we get a bunch of Flux Fantasy stuff. Like we're putting out. I'm very proud of the NPC packs that are coming out. That's one of the big $10 tier packs. It's not going to just be a couple of NPCs. I mean, there's like real thought and story put into it, and it's going to affect the way that you play Flux Fantasy, because you're going to want to put those characters in, because they're actually like kind of canon in the world. Like we've built them out very specifically. We've also got obviously the behind the scenes, the recipes. There's a lot of fun. There's so much, and we want to reward you guys. We want to put it out for you guys, and it's stuff that we're so excited about, and we love doing it. I mean, I love making the NPC packs, and we love making the recipe stuff, and it's all for you guys because you support us, and we're so grateful. And yeah, we just can't wait to get it out.
Yeah, so check that out. Flux patreon.com/flux destiny. We've got some big lives coming up. If you haven't joined our Discord, if you're not on our Discord yet, you should absolutely go to fluxfandom.com. You can see down there, there's the link to it. Join the Discord community because we have such an awesome community on there. And we do all these like live events in there, and we talk about lore, and we talk about all the geeky stuff that we all love, anime and video games. Like it's a whole experience, and the vibe is really cool. We have a if there's one thing, if I died today, it would be I would be super proud of the vibe that has been established in the Discord server, because it is just I am it's like having a it's like being proud of a child. It's like I'm just so
Yeah,
proud of this like what a great community we have.
I would totally agree.
And oh, Nix, yeah, we're gonna try to get Nix to join the server. So you're gonna see more more of Nix. We'll see if we can get him on here. We're like dragging him. We're like
He's
dragging
very
him.
busy.
Yeah, he's
He's
very
very
busy.
busy. We're running him into the ground a little bit.
Yeah, we are. He's like drawing nonstop. So you're seeing the
Yeah,
stuff trickle out because we have it timed out to share stuff with you. But he's like the amount of art he has to produce is insane. So,
yeah. If
but
you
it's
want to
something
see his
we're
art
doing.
early, you should go to Patreon.
You should. That's right.
So there you go.
All right, Ella. Well, I think that's been a good lunch and launch. Any final
Lunch and
steps that
launch.
any final steps we need to know about?
No, guys, continue on this journey with us, and you guys will be amazed. Honestly, I think that you will be super impressed with how much we have gotten done. I mean, it is a full RPG. We're not talking about some little game. We're talking about like a real, fully launched RPG is coming very soon, at least in beta form, and we are so proud of it. And as soon as it comes out, please, anything you see about Flux Fantasy, share it. And we need your help, and we love you guys.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and we will see you in the fandom. Bye, guys.